So the Rams are finally activating cornerback A.J. Green III off their practice squad. In addition to that, linebacker Elias Neal. I'm going to get into what that means, but before I do, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Kick, and Twitch. Almost forgot that last part, but can't forget about this part because Sleeper is the sponsor of today's video. And in case you've been living under a rock, the NFL season has gotten underway. We're in week 6. Time flies when you're having fun. You could use my code JKB and get a $100 match on your first deposit up to $100. But that's not all. You also have a $20 free entry to use on Sleeper. No deposit needed. If you haven't already used it, definitely go and check that out. The link is in the description below. And like I said, and I always say, call your shot. If you think so-and-so is going to have a touchdown, if you think so-and-so is going to go over 300 yards passing, what have you, you have a chance to 100 extra cash on daily fantasy. So be sure to do that. But that is Sleeper. Again, JKB is the code. So let's get into it. A.J. Green is coming off a great preseason where he only gave up 3 catches on 10 targets for 45 yards and a touchdown. He was tied for the league lead in PBUs and had a 79.2 targeted passer rating in total. He had 3 defensive stops as well, and he had the 3rd highest man coverage grade per PFF in the preseason. What I tend to look at is not necessarily the grade, but what was the targeted passer rating look like? And 39.6 when in zone and 42.4 in man tells me a lot. That's a really good number there for both. A.J. Green III didn't just have a really impressive bunch of reps in preseason, though. He also showed out in the joint practices, most notably against the New Orleans Saints, even against the starters. Green could have made the 53, I believe, but he suffered an injury that cost him the final preseason game in Cleveland. However, he somehow managed to not be picked up, and the Rams signed him in the practice squad. So I look at A.J. Green, UDFA, 2020 out of Oklahoma State, was picked up by the Browns, hasn't really had a shot to really show anyone who he is, but at 27 years of age, we are potentially about to find this out. The reason this move is so intriguing to me is that the Rams didn't have injury issues, unlike linebacker, where Elias Neal being brought up makes total sense. They didn't have any injury issues at corner. And so here he is still getting brought up here. They're finally activating him. I've been clamoring for it, as have many of you. Trey Brown's special teams penalty last week, late in the game, could be a reason, and he is a good special teamer, but I tend to think this signals a legit role with the defense. Chris Shula, per Adam Grossbard, has admitted that the loss of Ahkello Witherspoon has thrown off the team's matchup equilibrium. A.J. Green at 6'2", $198, is the closest thing on the roster to matching up Ahkello Witherspoon's size on the outside. I do believe that A.J. Green is going to win the starting job, and this is just the start. His physicality on the outside tells me he won't let anyone bully him, and this is a big spot for Green. I think he makes the most of it starting this Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens, and like I said, I think he's going to win this starting job. I don't know how long they'll have it, but if Ahkello comes back and they want to keep A.J. Green out there, I wouldn't be shocked. In a weird way, playing left corner, I kind of see A.J. Green similar to what Ahkello Witherspoon was in 2023. And that, of course, is if he takes up that same role left corner like he was in preseason. The reason I say that is very simple. When you look at Ahkello Witherspoon in 2023, he did a really nice job of playing and sticking on the hip pocket. He knew he had the speed and he had the length that he didn't have to cheat, but you just stay in the hip pocket and you're going to be in just about every play. And you have the recovery speed where you can actually just get out in front and pick off a pass if need be. A.J. Green doesn't have the speed of Ahkello Witherspoon, but the speed is fine. But he does a really nice job of playing inside that hip pocket, sticking with the receiver. He is sticky in coverage. He's also physical. And in that match zone, I think that's where he'll be able to thrive with Chris Shula. In addition to that, though, going back, Elias Neal was activated from the practice squad again. So that makes sense because they do have the injury to Omar Speights. Now, unlike A.J. Green, who I think is more of a defensive guy and could actually have a legit role in the defense, Neal is a good special teamer in his own right, and I don't really see him having much of a defensive role unless there's some really bad injuries that happen this Sunday. Hopefully that's not the case. He's not a bad defensive player, but I just don't see him in that light. I see him as more like a Darren Bates. I see him more as a Cameron Lynch, somebody like that can really help your special teams. Yes, my buddy Cameron Lynch can help your special teams, and he had a good preseason as well. But the last thing I want to say is this, because obviously there are people out there that are numbers people. I'm a numbers person. Numbers are cool, right? We all love uniforms. We all love jerseys. We all love helmets, right? Well, the number on the back is also important because for people out there that don't know, I'm going to be able to tell you. AJ Green, for your information, switched his number to 21. Why? Because Jarquez Hunter switched from 35 to 27 after AJ Green was subsequently cut. Elias Neal is now 24. So any number out there that you see that you don't understand, this is why I say it the way I do. AJ Green's going to be wearing 21, which immediately first thing I think of is, I don't know why, but is Janoris Jenkins. And then Elias Neal's going to wear 24, which last year that was what Darius Williams wore before he switched to 31. So linebacker wearing 24 is a little weird. It is what it is. AJ Green rocking the 21. I like that. Don't get me wrong. You're still going to see Kobe Durant. You're still going to see Darius Williams. You'll probably still see Emmanuel Forbes. But AJ Green is going to play this Sunday. He is going to play. They did not just activate him on a whim. I think they're telling us he is going to have a decent role with this team. And you know what? Sometimes this stuff happens. Duke Shelley in 2023, no one's really thinking anything of it. He has to come in and actually start some games, play some legit time. You've had Trey Tomlinson. You've had Marquis Christian. There are guys that kind of hung around the practice squad or at the back end of the 53-man roster that really carved out roles. Do not be surprised if AJ Green finally gets his shot in the NFL and it happens this Sunday. I'm expecting some good things out of him. I think he's a great fit on the outside. There is no doubt about it. I believe the Rams do need to look at corner at the trade deadline, and that doesn't change anything. But maybe they might have something burrowing in AJ Green. We'll find out. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this. Be sure to check out today's sponsor, Sleeper, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later, folks.